World Environment Day is nothing that we started a few years back. It started in 1972. It started as a reminder that the environment has been degrading over years and needs to be addressed. If you look at the global temperatures, they have been rising every year. We have reached closer to 1.52 degrees thereabouts. If we don't address it now, we will not be able to keep it under control at 1.52 degree scenarios that we all envisage for. Consumption is very difficult to change, and how many people can you change? But if the production itself is sustainable to begin with, that leads to a more sustainable consumption to take place, and we don't have to worry about environmental degradation, climate change, etc. So if you look at India has a net zero target of 2070, which it was never ready to accept before, but now has. So India has progressed from that perspective.
As we mark World Environment Day, we should not just focus on planting trees, but also focus on sustainable investing. The World Environment Day is a reminder that the way we invest matters, not just for us, but also for the world we live in. So we are putting that to the test with a rapid fire round that's short, sharp, and rooted in perspective. We have Chirag Mehta today, a CIO of Quantum Mutual Fund, sharing his views in a rapid response format. Let's find out, can responsible investing contribute towards saving the planet? So my first question to you would be, keeping in mind the current situation, the current environment that we live in, the countries that they are facing environmental crisis, the companies that are facing issues with the environmental indicators, keeping in mind this situation, what do you feel? Why there's a sudden surge in the world environment?
As a reminder that the environment has been degrading over years and needs to be addressed. If you look at the global temperatures, they have been rising every year. We have reached closer to 1.52 degrees thereabouts. If we don't address it now, we will not be able to keep it under control at 1.52 degree scenarios that we all envisage for. If you look at the current pace, it could overshoot 3 degrees, 4 degrees kind of scenarios, which would lead to a lot of ramification over the long run. If you look at the World Economic Forum, which comes out with top risk that the global world faces, the short term and the long term. The long term risk, about 5 out of the 10 risks that we face today are environment or climate related risk. So that is a reminder of the fact that it's been come to a point that if we don't address it now, it's going to have severe ramifications going down the line. And these ramifications could be loss of agricultural production, disruption to business operations, disruption to their lives. There could be floods, there could be changes in terms of climatic conditions that could lead to health diseases. So all these are serious things that we need to think about now. And if we don't address it now, it's going to be very, very late, and there is no planet B.
And eventually that will also affect the financial health of our country?
Absolutely. Financials will get impacted severely, and all these risks that we talk about, each of them will have a financial repercussion of that.
So my second question to you would be, what do you think, why the World Environment Day is of much importance to India as a country? And if you could throw some light on the initiatives that the government is taking, and maybe just few companies who are joining the government for improvising the environment as whole.
Sure, absolutely. So if you look at, again, referring to the World Economic Forum's Global Risk Report, right? 2 out of the 5 risks that India faces are related to environment or climate. It is weather events or weather conditions changing. And second is use of water as a resource, for example. Third one is pollution, be it air, water, or soil, is another risk that India faces from a longer term perspective. India is a growing economy, and to meet the needs of billions of people that reside in India, it needs access to cheaper resources. And while doing that, we all know that the resources are finite in nature, and the impact of growth or a side effect of growth is going to be pollution. So from that perspective, India needs to address and grow sustainably. It's only that way that India will be able to, ensure that the growth is held so that there is employment created for masses that reside in India. Otherwise, the growth will falter, people will move below the poverty line, and there will be a crisis and chaos in the country. So India is taking steps to address these. Earlier, it was in a state of denial and now has progressed significantly towards addressing the environmental issues. So if you look at India has a net zero target of 2070, which it was never ready to accept before, but now has. So India has progressed from that perspective. And how is going to meet that is through reducing emission intensity and also embarking on a renewable journey. So India already has 175 gigawatts of renewable power capacity already installed in India, and the aim is to move to 450 gigawatts by 2030. So, of course, last few years the pace has been very slow than desired, but India is trying to do and ensure that it moves on that path. So there is a Prime Minister's Panchamrit strategy that will help India achieve or move towards that progress. But we can't be complacent. The task is huge, and I think incentives and regulations put in the right way will help us achieve those targets. And from a company perspective, we have companies that are doing their bit. They are kind of ensuring that they have a lot of renewable capacity. They are reducing their energy intensity. They are improving on the emission intensity. They are using resources well. But at the same time, you also have companies that are not doing anything. They're not even measuring it right, though they are mandated by a regulator, being in the top 1,000 companies, to report a lot of granular data on various aspects of environment, climate, etc. But they aren't even reporting, or if you see their numbers, it does not make sense. They are just boilerplate disclosures. So it's a mixed bag from a company perspective. I think more needs to be done. Regulator needs to have a stick in their hand, and also at the same time incentivize companies that are doing their bit.
So my final question for you today would be, as an investor, how can I contribute towards this initiative of Environment Day?
Sure. See, what I believe is that investments have great power to transform behavior. And when we talk about behavior, it's not that everyone stops using, say, plastic straws or not throwing wrappers or papers, etc. Keep it clean, switching off the lights. I'm not talking about that. But when it comes to investments, there were not many avenues available earlier that helped you invest with your value system or what you believed in terms of saving the environment. But there are funds available now, like the ESG funds, which allow you to vote with your wallet. You can make those investments and try to transform behavior of companies to become more sustainable. Consumption is very difficult to change, and how many people can you change? But if the production itself is sustainable to begin with, that leads to a more sustainable consumption to take place, and we don't have to worry about environmental degradation, climate change, etc. So let's make that start today. Let's all put some money towards the cause, invest in the ESG fund today, and ensure that the fund manager helps you achieve the values that you want to invest with. So there are great opportunities, and there is a myth that you need to sacrifice returns when you try to do good, but that's a myth. In reality, you can still do good and still make money, and the evidence is out there. If you look at the ESG fund that Quantum offers, there is an evidence that it has done well while doing good. And hence, it's your time to make that choice. It's the time to vote with your wallet and invest in the ESG fund today. Do your bit today to save the environment.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.